Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We are going to talk about the arterial supply of the duodenum. Duodenum is a derivative of the foregut and the midgut. The junction of the foregut and the midgut derivatives is actually by the opening of the bile duct into the second part of the duodenum. So all the structures that will be above the opening of the bile duct into the duodenum will be the derivatives of the foregut, and the foregut derivatives are definitely supplied by the celiac trunk branches. Okay, and here the branch of the celiac trunk that is supplying the upper part of the foregut is actually the superior pancreaticoduodenal artery, a branch of the gastroduodenal artery, which is a branch of the celiac trunk. And the part that is inferior to the junction of the opening of the bile duct into the second part of the duodenum, this part is obviously a derivative of the midgut, and it is supplied by a branch of the superior mesenteric artery, which is the inferior pancreaticoduodenal artery. But the first part of the duodenum, maybe it is more pampered, and it is actually supplied by other arterial sources other than the superior pancreaticoduodenal artery. So what are the other arterial sources? Let's study them out. Sabse pehle, you know that the celiac trunk has a branch that is called as the common hepatic. The common hepatic is actually the second branch of the celiac trunk, and it gives a gastroduodenal artery, and after it gives the gastroduodenal artery, the common hepatic artery, it becomes the proper hepatic artery. So this one that you can see is actually the proper hepatic artery. This is actually the gastroduodenal artery. Another branch that is actually given up by the common hepatic artery is the right gastric artery, not shown in the picture. The right gastric artery is also going to supply the first part of the duodenum, and it runs on the lesser curvature of the stomach to anastomose with the left gastric artery. Okay, next we have to talk about the branches of the gastroduodenal artery, this one. So gastroduodenal is actually going to give a branch that is going to run on the upper surface of the first part of the duodenum, which is basically the supraduodenal artery of Wilkie. This is also going to supply the first part of the duodenum. So the first part of the duodenum is supplied by the supraduodenal artery of Wilkie. It is supplied by the right gastric artery. ठीक है, उसके बाद your gastroduodenal artery continues as the retroduodenal artery, ठीक है, which basically goes behind the first part of the duodenum, and then it divides into two branches. One of them is actually the infraduodenal artery, and the other one is actually the superior pancreaticoduodenal artery, which was I already mentioned that it's also a branch of the gastroduodenal artery, a branch of the celiac trunk. ठीक है, तो इसकी एक ब्रांच हमारे पास क्या बन जाती है, superior pancreaticoduodenal, and the other one is actually going to become the infraduodenal artery. ठीक है, and the rest will continue as the right gastroepiploic artery. तो हमारे पास additional sources क्या थे? एक हमारे पास है supraduodenal artery of Wilkie, the other one is the right gastric artery, the third source is actually the right gastroepiploic artery, and the fourth source is actually the retroduodenal branch of the gastroduodenal artery, or the retroduodenal branch of the gastroduodenal artery. ये हो गया. तो let's revise it out again. मैंने आपको बताया कि यहाँ से ऊपर वाला जितना भी एरिया है that will be supplied by the superior pancreaticoduodenal, और यहाँ से नीचे वाला जितना भी एरिया that will be supplied by the inferior pancreaticoduodenal. ठीक है, लेकिन जो फर्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ द duodenum है that will be receiving additional blood supply, number one from the supraduodenal artery of Wilkie, ठीक है, जो कि gastroduodenal artery की एक ब्रांच है. फिर उसके बाद the retroduodenal artery, ठीक है, which is a branch of the gastroduodenal artery again. फिर उसके बाद we have got the right gastroepiploic artery, also a branch of the gastroduodenal artery, ठीक है, and you have the right gastric artery, which is a branch of the common hepatic artery. ठीक है, so अगर आपसे one word में पूछा जाए कि which artery is actually supplying the first part of the duodenum, so you'll be saying the gastroduodenal artery is actually supplying the first part of the duodenum. ठीक है, और अगर आपसे वैसे पूछा जाए कि because your duodenum is a derivative of the foregut and the midgut, so therefore it is supplied by the celiac trunk branches and the superior mesenteric artery की branches. ठीक है, ऐसे भी क्वेश्चन आ सकता है.